Well, I never get super crazy like that. And the guys know every time, you have people
Shut up.
Dane!
You're hammered.
Dane, no,
I don't talk to these chicks at the parties. Shut
Dane, I'm such a big fan. No, honestly, I followed you in college about 3 years ago. I followed you when you're doing Growing Up Catholic. Listen to me, Dane. Gosh.
All right, go ahead, complete.
2 years ago, 3 years ago when I was in college, I followed him. And, when I had bad days or any of that, all my girls, we loved him, Growing Up Catholic.
We loved him? What, did I die?
Wait, no, you're still here. I'm just saying. Oh, God. See, this is why I have alcohol next to me. Thank God for drunk day. Seriously.
He was a good man.
Because just physical.
Let's pound it out.
Animated.
Pound it out.
There we go.
I just pounded it out.
No, I meant let's
Dane.
have sex.
Yeah.
Oh.
Speaking of which, how much tail do you get? I mean,
Yeah, Dane.
Right?
And are you a good kisser?
Yes, and yes.
You are one of the dudes.
Let me put it to you this way. I have a great story, and I'll tell the very quick, simple version. I loved Motley Crue growing up. I used to, the Girls video.
God,
That was. I spent a lot of time by myself watching that. Especially when the girl's just about to pull the shirt up.
Sure,
and, yeah.
That's
and
good.
they always cut away. So anyway, and I would go, when I was a younger guy, to the concerts. And a couple of years back, I was in L.A., and all of a sudden, this guy's screaming out in the middle of the crowd. And when I look out, standing up is Tommy Lee at my show, and he's going crazy. I mean, he's literally a distraction from the show. And he's throwing the Sufi. I used to throw the devil horns. He's doing this.
Right.
And then, so I became friends with Tommy, and then we started partying a little bit. And the biggest compliment ever was one night we got all these chicks around, we're hanging out, and he looked at me and goes, "Dude, you know how to party."
Oh,
really?
Yeah,
That's like
if you've
the
read-
Pope
if you've read
saying,
the
yeah.
dirt.
Yeah.
You know that it's like, yeah.
Come on.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
that's
a highlight
awesome.
moment.
Yeah. And so well, you've been linked with a whole bunch of people.
All true.
All true.
Sword fights with Tommy Lee by any chance?
I'm not into the Hep C scene, man.
Are you let me ask you, in reality, would you want to, are actresses something that entice you, or would you rather have someone who's not in the business?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
No.
Doesn't matter.
No.
What about professional dancers?
Shut up.
Dane, I like this relationship
You
already.
sozzled little tart. Shut your mouth.
I love it.
You don't drink, right?
I've never had a drink in my life.
Really?
No kidding.
I know, it's wild.
I've
Irish
never-
Catholic, and I've never had a drink.
Same here. Not
Okay.
never been drunk. Never smoked. And the weird thing is, I'm sure you're surrounded by your job dictates, from especially the early years, that you'd be surrounded by drunk people.
Yeah,
all
well,
the time.
drinking drugs, it's been around. I sell it. I just don't do it.
Just sell it. There we
Yes,
go.
I provide.
People that come to your show are drinking. How do you deal with it then? If you don't I asked Steve the same thing. I just don't know how you deal with it if you don't ever do it.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. It kind of goes with the territory. People are going to come, especially bigger shows, that people are just going to. But the crowd kind of monitors itself. One night I was doing a show. It was one of the first kind of bigger shows I did a few years ago. And I looked over and I thought somebody was crowd surfing. And it was literally a drunk guy that people were handing.
Oh, really? Just to get him out of there.
Because people want to hear the show, too.
Right,
So it's like, there's a couple hoots and hollers. But if you get a little bit too rambunctious, then, my crowd will literally escort you out of the room.
That's where it goes south in the smaller venues because it's harder to handle that. Right?
Smaller venue,
Yeah.
best heckle number 2. Guy was hammered. This is about 6 years ago at a place called Dublin's in L.A. that Jay-Z once rapped about because it was just this packed joint. Just people come in, get crazy drunk, and we had a free show we used to do Tuesday nights.
Right.
And a guy was in the front row, and he smashed, and he's got his chair turned completely facing away from me. Everybody else is having a great time.
Sure, yeah.
He's, interrupting punchlines and everything, and I finally looked down at the guy. I go, "What's your problem?" And he stood up, and the whole place got quiet because he had his bottle in his hand. And he goes, "I got 7 problems, and you're 5 of them." I was like, that's like the greatest action movie line ever.
I got 7 problems.
And I'm just wondering, what were the other 2 problems? That's really more than anything what
I need to ask this too, being a non-drinker, as is Steve, and not on stage when you're not working, and because I see it in Steve sometimes, people who are drunk, Steve, they annoy you.
Well,
I think maybe you know what I mean.
Listen, what happens is, and I know exactly what you're saying. I know what you're. There's a point at which it's not as much being annoyed as that if someone was speaking Taiwanese to me, I lose the ability to communicate with them.
You don't like Taiwanese people, is what you're saying.
That's it.
You
I
are
don't
racist.
like Asian people.
You know what I hate? Drunk Taiwanese people.
The worst.
They are the
But do you know what I'm saying? It's at a certain point you cannot even communicate. It's
True.
like I don't know what you're saying.
Well, that's because you're not speaking the drunk language.
Yeah.
You need a few drinks probably to have that dialogue. Back
Do you
and forth.
always get the thing? Because I always get it. I don't mind if people get drunk, if they're drinking, if they're having a good time. God bless them. But people automatically assume because I don't drink that I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
Right, or Mormon.
Yeah, or more. yeah. Do you get that?
You know what, I do, but the thing is, I don't know if you get this, but I get drunk by proxy.
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah. So
And-
it's
and
almost like a contact.
that's why I don't
Drunk?
drink, because when I was in high school, my best friend was like the school dope head and drunk, and we were like Goofus and Gallant. I was like the squeaky clean kid, and he was just getting hammered behind Stop and Shop every day.
Right.
But the whole thing with me was I was still the craziest person at any party, and I thought to myself early on, it was like an epiphany. If I do that, I know I'm going to have to be the drunkest, highest person here, and I'm already bananas enough.
Yeah.
So I just never gave it a shot.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That was always my fear, that I'd be up on the roof with a high-powered rifle.
I am a golden god.
Is it about losing control? Does that have anything to do with it?
I mean, maybe a little bit of that too. I saw a lot of crazy stuff growing up, but for the most part, I really think it was just I had an idea that I wanted to be able to, I don't know, do what I do on stage, stay
Without pissing
completely
yourself.
focused.
Yeah.
Yeah, not vomit all over my shoes, which I still do anyway. So.
For the hell of it.
Is there anything coming up in the movie side of your life?
Yeah, I do these 2 dates, and then I'm heading into a flick with Gary Oldman and Christian Slater
Whoa.
called Guns, Girls, and Gambling.
Really?
You know
Yeah.
what, man? You're solid because I've seen you in a number of movies. And Casey, you were talking about the Steve Carell, the Dave
Dan in real life.
Dan in real life.
Oh yeah.
You were very good in that. And did you surprise yourself, or did you always know you were you had the chops? I mean, there had to be a point where you said, "I got to give this thing a shot." Did you know? Did you just think you would take to it immediately, or did you think you'd be a work in progress?
I thought I'd be in porn by now, to be honest. I want to do comedy porn. That was my whole.
You do it here. You do it here first if you do it.